night in town. I got double trouble. I got double trouble. I got double trouble. To Panelists' favorite show. Tonight we explore the beloved or the dreaded. That time where the artist or band made the decision that they just, well, either had so much material they couldn't pass up on it, or they found a groove, a statement, and just went to town, not realizing what it was going to be or how long it was. Or then there are those that just made a statement, or perhaps just maybe it was divine inspiration. I don't know. I don't really know if a record company enjoys this idea because it's probably more expensive. I'm not even sure if the record buying public is really that much thrilled with it or anymore. If they are, there certainly seems to be less of it than there used to be. It's a toss-up of excitement and worry. Will it make that impact, or should they, in the concept of an editor's novelist kind of thing, should they just kill their babies?
Yeah.
Is it, so tonight's show, the best double albums, according to our panelists. I set no parameters for this, but I am going to explain something about my position as the show goes on. We will let the chips fall where they may. There are all kinds of styles of double albums. Some are not even long enough to be double albums, in my opinion, but they just looked sexier split up. And then there's some probably, you find out that they didn't exactly even come out at the same time. They just fit together perfectly. So let's first meet the panel. As if you don't know them already. She's just chilling. Okay, she's probably freezing. It's cold on the lanai tonight, but she loves her spot. Susie Q.
Mm-hmm.
She's the great overseer of Double Double. So double should be right up her alley. Damn. And Jeff Crichton, very upset that he could not attend tonight. And so he sent his list and said, please give it a read. So I shall at his request.
You shall.
He will be, I'll read his after mine. So he's,
Okay.
And as the show, we want it to be all killer, no filler. Now, I don't know if that happens on the double album or not, but let's start it off. Susie, give me number 5.
All right. I struggled on these, but I went with Exile on Main Street, which I know you're just talking about how it's maybe not necessarily enough for a double, but technically it's a double.
It's a double album.
And it's the Rolling Stones, and it came out the year I was born. So that, what can you say about the Stones? They are the Stones. It's a good album. Soulful, good rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
Still good today. Still good just like me. It's still good today.
It actually gets better with age, Sue.
Yes.
There you go.
I don't know if that's true about me, but
It is.
holds
I've
out.
known you a long time. It
Were
is
you
true.
recorded in a basement? What?
Huh?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
You are.
I'm always recording in a basement. And
I'm a remaster, maybe.
Ooh,
I don't know.
oh well.
Oh, there. Oh,
Wow,
I like that.
no,
Mm.
I'll kill her, no filler. Yeah, one of the greatest produced albums of all time, no question.
I didn't really, to be quite honest with you, I didn't really love the Stones years and years and years ago, but now I appreciate them.
Yeah, that happens with bands as you get older and you kind of get wiser about things.
Yeah.
Or they grow on you like a fungus in the basement.
Okay.
Just maybe.
Could be.
All right, Deb, what do you have at number 5?
Okay, well, it was hard for me to actually rank. I'm pretty sure that
Yeah.
the ones that I chose are definitely ones that are near and dear to my heart. And it was hard for me to put them in order, but I put them in the order based on my preference of my 5. So, and I know most people would beg to differ that this should be higher up on my list, but it's the Beatles, the White Album. 1968. It was 24 times platinum, I believe.
Mm.
It was interesting because it kind of was reflecting a period of change in with the Beatles, along with the world, Vietnam, and a lot of unrest. And I mean, Ringo even quit during the recording of this album, but came back because he said somebody's got to play the drums, I guess. I don't know what he thought
Yeah,
was going to
where
happen.
else was he gonna go?
Well, I'm trying to be kind. Ringo's still alive and maybe listening to this show. So,
Yeah.
um, and Eric Clapton, I know everybody knows this. He played on While My Guitar Gently Weeps,
Mhm.
and there was a whole opening of some soap opera going on there with him and George Harrison
Can you
and
imagine?
wives and nuts. So I think that that album kind of, to me, represents what double albums were going to be all about. I
Mhm.
was only 6 when it came out, but I do remember it when it came out. So, my number 5.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, so this was a tough exercise for me. I'm gonna start off with tough, because probably I'm gonna say this and nobody's gonna know what I'm talking about. This is Lovers. This is by Nels Cline. Nels Cline is the guitarist in Wilco. Nels
Oh, I know.
Cline is a very talented jazz guitarist. Would you know that? Possibly, if you're really listening to Wilco in some instances. Um, this is a hopeless yet somewhat bleak romantic record. It has that classical guitar jazz, but it's just, there's no filler. It's just beautifully done from start to finish. Is it dinner music? My wife will argue that it's a hint on the darker side of romance, but it's just magical to me. I get, if someone said, I'm going to do a jazz record, it's going to be very acoustic and classical, and and it's atmosphere, and
Mhm.
it's going to be 2 records long. I'm pretty sure the record label went,
Mm,
how much of this are we paying for? Oh, I'll pay for it. Oh, I love it. But I mean,
interesting.
then again, my favorite musical is Miss Saigon, so I guess that
Yes.
tells you where I'm
Yeah,
headed,
you're right.
right? So
Mhm.
at number 5, Nels Cline's Lovers, and Mr. Crichton is number 5. The Who, Quadrophenia, inches out Tommy, he said, by a few things. So he couldn't put his just what those things were, but
Mm.
he's Quadrophenia is his favorite of the doubles. So I think myself, that's a very close. I think Tommy's a little wicked-ish, like musical-ish, maybe, right?
Mhm.
Maybe. I mean, that's probably maybe it. But back to Sue, number 4.
Okay.
Are you doing a
Well,
growling record?
no,
No, no,
No.
no, no.
no.
She
Jeff
went,
Young isn't
"Arr."
on.
Oh my gosh,
Megadeth.
he's
Negative.
Megadeth.
Um, hi Jeff. All right, so I don't even want to say this one because I'm pretty sure someone else is gonna say it. So I'm not really gonna say much about it other than I went with Physical Graffiti, Led Zeppelin. Um, Cashmere is everything, but uh obviously an incredible sound. I mean, Led Zeppelin, they were hot. It was good stuff. But that's all I'm gonna
Mm.
say because I know someone else who loves a lot more is gonna talk about them at some point. So
I wonder who that would be.
it's my number 4.
Nice.
Deb, to you.
I did this album is interesting. Came out in 1995, and it's all about emotions and problems, and which I had a lot of those in 95 and 96. So I kind of could relate to the Smashing Pumpkins' Melancholy and the Infinite
Uh,
Sadness.
Mhm.
Um, it's very well play on the word melancholy, which is the gloomiest of emotions. There's a lot of melancholy in the world today, I think. So this album I think has stood the test of time. I was always very interested in the cover
Mhm.
artwork. I
Beautiful.
thought it was an interesting cover. And so I did a little reading on that. And actually the woman's face, it's two famous paintings, both of which I've never heard of the paintings, but I have heard of the one that represents the body of the woman. Raphael did the painting, and it's kind of stolen from that. And then the other one, I don't know the artist, but that was her face. So I thought that was interesting. I don't know really why they did it that way. But good album.
Mhm.
Like I said, stands the test of time for me. And it really is, out of my list of five, it's the most current of the double albums that I chose.
Yeah, it's hard. That is probably the greatest shoegaze alternative record of all time.
Yeah.
I don't
Mhm.
I I don't know. There'll be people that argue it, but I mean, when it's a double and there's, I don't think there's any filler on that record at all.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
wondering if that is going to show up on our list of when we do album wars at some point, huh?
Mhm.
yeah, we got 95 coming up, right? No, 96.
Yeah, we do.
95. All right. Oh, me. Yeah.
You.
Hmm.
Okay, so a band that wouldn't be known for its instrumental, or would it? I mean, yeah, there's a lot of instrumental going on, but it's extremely industrial.
Mhm.
But there's always that voice, and
Mhm.
that voice would be, Trent Reznor. But this is Nine
Mhm.
Inch Nails' Fragile record. It's very atmospheric, industrial. It's moody, it's grimy, it's a different kind of emotional impact. My assumption is it's just life's fragility and that which happens. But it's a glorious record. And it's again, just like your Smashing Pumpkins, right? It's a band that had already done certain things and been glorified and did it. It's dangerous to do a double album.
Mhm.
Dangerous.
Mhm.
And Smashing Pumpkins pulls it off. Nine Inch Nails pulls it off too. Is
Mhm.
it I it would be interesting to see where it falls on people's lists of in the Nine Inch Nails catalog, where they would place it.
Mhm.
Along with Ghosts 1, 2, and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. So yeah, I love to play that. It's very, you can put on the background and think wonderful things.
Okay, Mark. We know how you've been feeling lately.
Oh, at
Oh.
number 4 for Mr. Crichton, I'm a little stunned where it is, but
Oh.
I'm not.
Mhm.
Uh, this is Miles Davis, Bitches Brew, Jazz Fusion, Born. Right, I'm this Weather Report, Return to Forever kind of thing. John McLaughlin's on the record. I mean, the list of people on that record is insane. And the man at the helm is doing things that have not been done and led an entire. It's what jazz is supposed to be.
Mhm.
Everything encapsulated. I kind of thought it would be higher up there, but I
Mhm.
I kind of had a feeling what his number 1 would be, but that's kind of easy. But yeah, his number 4.
Cool.
2 to 3.
Um, oh, I'm three? Oh, mine are all out of order. That's why I'm looking.
No, you're out of order.
Always. Um, I went with Bruce Springsteen,
All right.
River.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, again, it feels like a safe album to go with, but just
It's
it still sticks. And obviously Hungry Heart.
yeah,
It's a beautiful song. The River, obviously, Badland. Uh, if you love
very
the,
very nostalgic.
yeah, it is. So
Timeless.
I know you're
Yeah.
if you like Bruce
Yes.
Springsteen, you have to like him. There's some songs I like more than others on all of his work, but you either like him or you don't. You like the way he tells his story through his music or you don't.
I
And
love the emotional impact of how he delivers. Always.
yeah,
Mhm.
When he
yeah.
does the
Yeah.
soft and subtle and maybe I'm not so enthralled, but
Mhm.
yeah.
I do like it a little bit though, because you don't want him always to be like getting the crowd all riled up with his anthemy stuff, which is it's fun too, but
Mhm.
I think he's someone that just always kind of gave the people what they wanted, and it worked. So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Agreed.
in my opinion, but
Love it.
good album, good album.
Deb.
Okay, well, Mr. Crichton already mentioned this one. It's The Who, Quadrophenia, 1973. Um, it's interesting because it really it's not just a double album. There's a whole theme behind it, almost like a Broadway musical would have a theme, but not in such a, I guess, you know, uh, immature way, I guess. It's all about power and energy and creativity of an idealistic youth, and that's really what they were trying to surround themselves with in this double album. And the personality of Jimmy is actually all the songs are written to display a split personality of Jimmy, and each one of his four personalities is a representation of each of the members of the group,
Oh, wow.
which I didn't realize that, and I've only heard this album about 1,000 times. So I find it to be maybe like how you, Sue, Springsteen is maybe nostalgic to you. The Who is very nostalgic to me.
Yeah.
And I really liked a lot of the solo albums that came out of the three that didn't, kill themselves. Like the quintessential drummer always dies. And Spinal Tap showed that to be quite true. So that was my number three.
I always wanted to get, they're so talented and I like their music. I just never dug in for some reason.
It's just, I guess at 73, it's almost like me not really caring about music from the early 60s, not really caring about Elvis,
Yeah.
even though it was something that my mom loved. Maybe it was more, not that I picture your mom loving the Who, Sue, but you know
Yeah,
where I'm
yeah.
going.
Maybe it's because it's almost like when the Bills were the bickering Bills.
Yeah,
And that's what I always think about with the Who. Like all I ever heard about was the infighting and stuff. So I was like,
yeah.
no. But
They were great at destroying their hotel rooms too, though.
yeah, fun.
Well, they didn't get a chance to work out, so they
Uh,
took it out on the room.
And their guitars.
Actually, back then, maybe the hotels didn't have workout facilities, and that's maybe why they put them in.
I know.
Yeah,
Oh my
there
God,
you
we're gonna have
go.
to workout facilities for these people because this is getting crazy. This is that a chair to the ceiling? What's going on? Well, my number three is not a double album that came at the same time. It is a double album once it was fashioned to be that way. This is Degradation Trips Volumes 1 and 2. This is Jerry Cantrell. And Jerry Cantrell did this after Boggy Depot. And you know that it has that Alice in Chains sludge, but it has an alternative end to it and a very not a like a backwoods suburbia, bad things are happening in your family
Well,
kind of things, and how an alcoholic father or someone. I mean, it's not a happy record.
none
Not
of
that I
yours
think
are.
that Jerry Cantrell would put out a happy record, but I
you
just
can't
think it's
dance to it.
you can't dance to it. No, this is one of those
It's fun,
emotional
it's
pieces
flirty.
done. Yes, it's fun, it's flirty. It's
Got everything.
yeah. Fortunately, when I went through my list, and my honorable mentions will be different, but these are the ones that I gravitate to. And is it a male thing? I don't know. I don't know. I don't. There's no male people on the show to back me up on that. I don't know what Jeff Young would have picked, but
Mhm.
this record's very emotional, but in a very um trying to get out kind of way, and degradation, right? You gotta, the word itself is not nice. So um
Mm.
but I think Jerry lives some of this, the tale. That's
Uh-huh.
and
Okay, so he comes by it honestly.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, just yeah, the cover is not a pleasant sight.
Oh,
So
God.
Oh, I can't wait. All
Oh,
right.
wow, that
I'm a
sounds.
little ill prepared at the idea of this record because it was going to be this record or one other one, but I know I play this record all the time and but it's very heavy. The riffs are outstanding. He has never written better riffs in
Oh,
all of
okay.
his catalog. This is where it gets interesting. Don't get me wrong, but Depot has um great stuff on it, but there's some things that lead astray. This one is going all great guns, and it's the heaviest albums he's ever made, in my opinion.
Hmm.
Back to Sue for number 2. Oh no, Jeff's number 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
JC.
London Calling,
Um,
and
good. I'm glad you picked that.
Yeah.
the greatest album where punk rock grows up. That's what he
Mhm.
put.
Okay,
All right.
true.
Um,
Mhm.
let's face it, they're probably the most punk band there is. So it's almost
Yeah.
reggae meets,
hmm
I don't know, maybe they were the first indie punk band.
I don't know. They were
There's a
blurring
lot
some kind of
there's a
line.
lot
Yeah.
on that record to love.
hmm
There's a lot on that record to say it's not really punk, is it? I don't,
Yep.
but yeah.
Agreed.
So
Well, this one's been mentioned already, and I've been juggling here in where I place things, but I also picked Melancholy and Infinite Sadness. Um, like you said, well, I don't know. I don't think 95, 96 were too bad for me, but um, but I just love their sound. I love
Yeah.
everything about the band, and I mean the Melancholy song itself it's just beautiful.
hmm
So
Yep.
talented, and so tonight, it's
There
just
you go.
incredible stuff. So
Good.
I get
Good
number
choice.
2.
yeah,
Yeah.
Agreed.
if you get a chance, Rick Beato interviewed Billy Corgan.
Wow.
There was much discussion about that record and
Oh.
Ah.
how they found it amazing because he found out that the orchestra that played it was totally caught off guard that he could orchestrate music.
Really?
Hmm.
Cool.
They were like, did you do this? I was like, yeah.
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 I think there's a misconception that people that play certain kinds of music or write certain kind of music aren't real musicians or
Yeah.
composers,
Yeah.
and they are. And
But I had a lot of respect for them, and no, I just can't think of it. I can't think of what I was gonna say.
Oh, she's trying so hard.
I know
know.
it was right there on this lobe, and then I put it back.
it needs to get on the tip of your tongue.
He's like, I don't want to say he's like a master class or anything, but he's one of those people that it embodies him. I think Billy Corgan and the band, it was just, I don't know, it was just such an incredible coming together of those people that made that sound,
Yeah, the
and
fusion of it
the
all.
lyrics, everything was just, it was one of those perfect timing moments for that band. And
hmm
everything just came together. So
Agreed.
he made a statement during that no, was that interview? No, on another show, he made a statement about the Autumn album, which is 3. That's a triple.
Mm.
And it's like, so when you're writing songs, how do you know whether it's a good song or not? And he goes, I don't write anything but good songs, or I don't put them on an album, or I don't write.
I love it.
you could
That's
tell
confident.
Well, alrighty then. So now I'm like, and when I listen to Autumn, I'm like, damn, that is a great song. I'm like now because
you
he's
could
got
tell, though, he was intense back then, and he's an artist too. I think partially that's what I was gonna say. Like, he's a musician, but that artist
art.
side of him came out, and I think that's what textured the sounds and everything. And so
Yeah, for sure.
anyway,
That's 2 votes for Melancholy, 2
Yep.
votes for Quadrophenia.
Yep.
Deb, your number 2.
I'm sure this one is, I'm the only one with the vote on this one. Pretty sure. It's from 1979. I actually had 4 of my 5 were within 11 years of each other. This is Pink Floyd, The Wall.
Mhm.
I was a really big Pink Floyd fan before this came out because of Dark Side of the Moon. And a lot of people, a lot of critics say it's overblown and pretentious. And you might even hear David Gilmour say that about some of the songs himself. So, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But right, they were on a path to do this. And I think the reason it really caught my attention was they did, The Wall, the movie, and the way that they marketed this movie was that you were only going to be able to see it in Toronto, London, and New York City. And so we went all the way to Toronto to see this
Wow.
movie.
Mhm.
And when you're 18 years old and you get in the car to go all the way to Toronto to watch some movie that was God knows what it was, crazy theme for sure. Not This is a dark one as well, Mark. I mean,
Yes,
you've you've been
I'm pleased at that point. Yeah. I can tell
but
you the
then
movie did nothing for me.
but then, to our dismay, they showed it in Buffalo like 2 months later. And we spent all the money we didn't have as 18-year-olds to go to Toronto, but
But it
it
was so
was
fun.
it was the experience of it. And I
Yeah.
think that's why it's so far up on my list. And I probably know every word to every song
Wow.
and can play air piano and guitar to it. So
Nice.
that's my
Well,
number.
that'll be we'll have to do that one night.
Yeah.
Interactive beyond your
Interactive,
radio.
yeah, instrumental off.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
So that's my number two.
you're number two.
Uh-oh.
What's
My list was extensive, and there's ones that lead me to this and lead me to that, and I'll get to some honorable mentions, but I'm gonna say it's a tie at number two for a
Oh,
reason. Okay.
okay.
I have a lot of jazz on this, right?
Yeah.
And you gotta have balls to do what this band did. First of all, their name is terrible. I don't know why it was named the way it was, and they changed it immediately. Um, but their debut album is a double album.
Interesting.
Okay. And this other art, and that kind of changed the sound too. They had this thing going on that maybe was they couldn't make up their mind where they were. There's a lot of people in this band. And then the other one that's tied with it is what Mr. Crichton talked about. That's Bitches Brew.
Oh.
So you got Miles Davis,
Mm-hmm.
Bitches Brew, got all these great musicians together and creating a fusion sound. And then you got this other band called the Chicago Transit Authority with a bassist named Peter Cetera who dog over, and he didn't write a single lick of that record.
Oh, really?
No, he
I
wrote
didn't
on
know
all the
that.
other ones except for like one other. It's like only a couple that he didn't. And
Okay.
but it's so everything. Like I can't even imagine the studio, right? Where the people, like, if this is their first album, they go in the studio.
Yeah.
Well, how many songs you got? A lot. What's a lot? Well, we'll just start playing. You tell us, right? Can you imagine this guy going, "Wow"? I mean, like they're into everything, and it's even progressive in its nature,
Yeah.
right? Progressive rock, fusion, jazz, blues. You got trumpets,
Yep.
trombone, horn. It's
Maybe they thought that was going to be it. They're like, let's play it all.
yeah. But you know
Something
what?
Yeah.
Yeah. But do you know what their second album was?
Mm.
A double.
Huh.
Well, I guess they thought, what the hell? It worked the first time, and they just
Let's not mess with that formula, huh?
yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure
Overachievers.
I think the second album was a double. Now I'm getting, but I think so. It's one of those records that like I thought about using it on Guilty Pleasures because nobody will hear me playing it. I'm not going to put that on in the car. So, like my kids will be embarrassed. I don't play Don Johnson in the car either, but anyway, um, it's just between that and Bitches Brew, I kept going back and forth and back and forth and Bitches
Interesting.
Brew is okay. So Bitches Brew, just to get into that a little second, immersive jazz, fusion, rock, whatever. But this is an album that like it's very difficult for people, some people, most people. You have to grow into this. This is an album that rewards you every time you listen to it. I think the first time I ever tried to listen to it, I was probably in my late teens because that's all people talked about. Miles Davis, Bitches Brew, Miles
Mhm.
Davis, Bitches Brew. And I remember people saying, don't listen to that one first. Listen
Mhm.
to Out of Blue
Mhm.
and I was like, ooh, ooh, ooh,
Mhm.
I didn't know where to put it. You know why I don't know where to put it? Because you haven't listened to everything else,
Mhm.
Mhm.
right? And that's the beauty of the albums of other people and growth. And that's
Yes.
like the
Yeah.
children of today who are just it's
Yeah.
you don't not gonna know. It's gonna take you forever to find out what that was about because the that wasn't just done yesterday. That was done a long, long time ago.
Mhm.
They had that's a funk bass thing. That's way back. So they're important albums. They're double albums. Is Chicago Transit Authority an important album overall? Next to Bitches Brew? Probably not, but it's wild. It's just
Mhm.
wild. So I
Yeah.
thought I'd
I
put them together.
forgot about that album. Oh my
Um,
God.
Sue, to your number one.
what about Jeff?
Oh shoot,
Oh,
gosh, I keep doing that. What about
don't
Jeff?
forget Mr.
I
Crichton. What
suck.
about
Exile on Main Street, Rolling Stones.
Okay, there
Okay,
you go.
that's his number
That's
two.
a second
That's where
myth.
I expect.
Second myth.
I expected it to be there at number two.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Him and I've had major conversations about that record, and he was. I think one of the times we had just first met when we were talking about music, and when I
Yeah.
said one of the greatest albums ever made, produced is Exile Main Street, I think he's like, "Wow, this is somebody who's okay. Maybe I'll have a
Oh, look at you.
conversation with him."
Maybe
Right?
he should have his
Then
own
after that, I
show.
said Buckethead, and he says, "Get away from me." All right,
Yeah,
come back to you later.
But
he said.
Anyway, yes, their
Cool.
best album ever, with a big exclamation point, and yeah,
cool.
just big sound, and for the time, 1972. Look, there's a
Nice.
Yeah.
lot of 70s in this, right? The transit.
Yeah. A lot of 70s.
A
Oh,
lot
Mm-hmm.
of
Stitches Brew.
talent.
So yeah.
People made real music.
Yeah.
Who number one?
Well, I mean, completely deflated by this point. Not really sure what else to say about it, but I also went with the brew.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I didn't hear it until a little later in life. I wasn't a teenager listening to Miles Davis, but yeah, all the things you guys have already said. I know I chose him, was it last week on a show too? I think
Yeah.
I'm in a Miles kick right now, I guess, but
It's infectious.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like Bitches Brew. I didn't. When I bought that, I listened to it and I went, either I'm not ready or I suck, and I just. But I bought.
well, you can't overthink it. Like you don't have to.
I bought tons of his stuff. I mean, there's people that he had a box set. I think it's like a 20 some discs or something. It's insane. And
Really?
when they were showing it, I'm like, ooh, ooh, right? And I'm thinking, no, no, do not
Don't
do
do
this.
it. Don't do it. It's
Yeah,
great.
it's a great pick. Yeah.
Okay, well, mine is not going to be a surprise to anybody, even Mr. Crichton said, but 1975, Led Zeppelin's Physical Graffiti. Uh, it was actually the first album to go platinum on advanced orders, which I
Oh,
found
Oh,
incredibly interesting. Didn't know if you knew
they
that,
took
unless
advanced orders then?
yes, they did.
Wow,
Uh, So
smart.
so the Googler says. I'm not,
Oh, the Googler.
it
He's in
could
the
be
new
fake news.
Batman.
thank you.
What I always found, I was always intrigued by obviously the music, it's my favorite band of all time. My favorite song of all time out of any band, let alone their band, is Kashmir. It was my ringtone for years, and I wouldn't even pick up to see who was calling because I'd be
Funny
boom,
parent.
boom, 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 boom. But I was always intrigued by the album cover, that building. I always wanted to go and sit on the stoop of that building, and it and I think one of the reasons why I was always drawn to it is I'm a big Alfred Hitchcock fan,
Mm,
and it reminded me of the movie Rear Window,
mm.
when the guy would sit by his window and look out across at the apartment building and kind of was a voyeur into other people's lives. And I always look at that album cover and go, I wonder who lived in that little apartment and who in that apartment. But an interesting fact, it's that building is in New York City on I think it's St. Mark's Place is the neighborhood. And even though I didn't mention the Rolling Stones on today's show, their music video, Waiting on a Friend, was actually filmed on that street. And there is a glimpse of that actual building that's on physical
Cool.
graffiti on
Oh,
their music video. So
just wait.
I don't need to say a lot about Led Zeppelin physical graffiti. I'd be very surprised that anybody that would be watching this show would not know this album. So I thought I'd just talk a little bit more about the cover art and the little factoids I learned in doing this show today.
Nice.
Well, we
Okay.
need to take a road trip down there at some point.
And
Go
get our
see it.
pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
be on your radio at Physical Graffiti.
Yeah.
And we'll play Waiting on a Friend while we're recording.
There we go.
I'm in.
That's
right,
after
so
our cruise with 311.
Yes, 311.
Yeah.
311. You're welcome.
311.
We're going. We're going on the cruise, baby. There you go. Led Zeppelin, 311. What? How did we get there? All right. So the Beatles' White Album, Physical Graffiti, you know, The Who. You could go any way you want. They're all ridiculously good albums. The Beatles' White Album for me, little filler. I don't even know what's going on at the end. It's almost like they had a Nirvana moment. No, I mean the actual band Nirvana.
Yeah. That's why I had it at number 5. I feel it deserves the
I don't know if
merit of
anybody
being
does
in my
anybody
top
listen to
5.
the whole thing all the way to the end. I find it interesting that but yeah, back in the USSR, all kinds of stuff on there, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
so I'm going to honorable mention to my number 1. This is I'm gonna take this
Okay.
one. All right. So I love Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. I wanted it to be on the list. I listened to that record a lot. Technically, it's fantastic, and I wanted it to be on the list, and I somehow kicked it off the list. But I knew that everybody on the panel it had to be there, and I thought I imagine Jeff Young would probably have it on his too.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
I would think so too.
Prince's Sign of the Times.
Ah,
I like that record a lot. I think I like the video of it more, just because of the crazy shit going on stage. So I think that's why it's more glorified to me. I don't, and then what's her name playing the drums?
Sheila E.
Yeah, Sheila, right? So, okay. So Speaker Box, Outcast, and
Oh.
that there's some catchy stuff on there. A little bit of filler.
Yeah.
A little bit of filler. Right. So to mention that, right? Minutemen. Nobody knows Minutemen? Kind of like a punk Wilco.
Really?
Yeah, a little jazzy, a little punky, they can do anything. And it can seem a little country-ish in a way too. And it's called Nickels on a Dime, Double Nickels on a Dime. Double album. Check that out. That's interesting. That's a little left field.
Interesting.
But okay, so I love Physical Graffiti. And if Physical Graffiti's here, and it's there. Most people would look at me and know me and say, it's going to be Genesis's Lambs Lies Down on Broadway.
I almost picked that album.
And for some reason, it gets a little strange for me. I don't know why.
It is very
I
strange.
don't connect and you know, I have a better time with the other albums, and maybe that's sacrilege and stuff like that. But my number one might not be something you'd expect. And I
No.
think the band got a shitload of flack for it. I think people were waiting. This is that anxiety, excitement, disappointment. Where is this going to go? Where is it? When you have a debut album as big as theirs, okay, where do you go from Appetite for Destruction?
Oh yeah.
Then Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. Some people say there's filler on it. I don't think so. I think this band was just exploring everything they could possibly do. It's got anthem, it's got punk, it's just got pissed off at the world
Yeah.
kind of thing. And when they're pissed off at the world, they don't do it for like 8 minutes. They do it for 2 minutes and 38 seconds. And Axl, the band, everything. I just, that's a record I'll go to. And I don't have it on CD. So it's on
Huh?
cassette. So I don't have a cassette player in my car.
I was gonna say.
So it's very, I've always had to go like, pull it up on a music service, right? And I'm like,
Yeah.
geez, I kind of want to have they probably got a deluxe box set of this thing yet.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I just love
Yes.
Civil War. I don't need no. I even felt like it was audioed in the Civil War times. I just every little piece of it is so well done. And then let's have a bombastic, November Rain. Man,
Yeah.
holy shit. I mean, Elton John will play with us too, and it'll be kick ass. And
Yeah.
it's Queenie.
Yeah.
It's got it all. And I know that they got a little bit of flack for it in some cases, and people are like, they could have had just one album. I don't know.
Interesting.
More power to them. Why not?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's my number one. Use Your Illusion
Awesome.
1 and 2. So if Jeff Crichton was going to have a number one, obviously it would be the Beatles, and it's the White Album. And now for the clever people. Okay, there's 2 clever mentions here that I don't think you guys would have them in your honorable mention. So some bands, 2 of them, decided to make albums that were not part of but they come together as one album. Sort of like
Okay.
Voltron, and as a Voltron where they all become one piece, right?
I don't know.
Okay, so Stone Sour, yeah, Stone Sour. They had an album they made, and then they had another one. And actually the 2 come together when you buy them, and it makes a house.
What?
House of Gold and Bones.
Hmm.
All right, in 2012 and 2013. House of Gold and Bones Part 1 and Bones Part 2. The casings and all things come together and form the okay. And I have them. I haven't tried it because it seemed complicated, and I don't like instructions. They don't come. I don't want to wreck the casing to try to do this. So the band can text me, a picture.
Look on YouTube. Somebody's probably done
Somebody
it.
probably already did it.
Yeah.
And then System of a Down.
No.
This was brilliant. Mesmerize, Hypnotize, right? Mesmerize comes out, and they had that Bring Your Own Beer song. That thing was catchy as hell. That was this metal meets pop, Queen, crazy. And then what was the lyrical line? Why do they always send the poor? Why do they always send the poor? And it's bombastic. Serge is doing his thing, and they come out with Hypnotize, and you think it's just another record, but they actually slide into each other and build the double. So it is a double record.
Cool.
Any honorable mentions from you guys?
I had some,
Cool.
actually. Well, one was Electric Ladyland,
Oh, yes.
Jimi Hendrix, that was 68. And then my other 3 that were honorable mentions that I had some others, but they were already named. So these were from the 70s as well. I really loved Stevie Wonder songs in the Key of Life.
Mhm.
That was one of my favorite albums. This one was from 79, Fleetwood Mac, Tusk.
Oh,
I
That was
love
a
okay.
that.
double? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
that
know
was
that.
a double. Yep. And oh, what was the other one? I didn't write it down. It was something odd. And then I went, I'm not gonna really put that one down. Oh, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Oh,
That was a
well,
Oh,
double
yeah,
album.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yep,
yeah.
yep, yep,
That was
yep.
from 73. So there
Yeah.
were just so many to choose from that I actually owned.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so and that was the time that I was buying vinyl, was the 70s, and it was exciting to get a double album and have twice the listening pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sue, honorable mentions or?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to you before, that Fully Completely, the remastered one that they did, but technically it's not a double album.
Okay.
But then they kind of made it one the second time around.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was looking into the Canadian realm of things, and that popped up, but
So I leave you with two things. So
Mm.
Everclear
Mhm.
did Songs from an American Movie volumes 1 and 2. They were not
Yeah.
done at the same time, but they are definitely quintessentially together.
Mhm.
Okay.
And the two albums I'm going to mention are definitely each of the albums based on their time limit. Okay, even though they smushed them onto one
Okay.
CD, would never be able to do that on it. But I would imagine both of these albums are double albums. I didn't buy them that way. So a band called the Red Hot Chili Peppers
Mm.
had two of their last two records. Now, most people be, Blood Sugar Sex Magic
Mhm.
or Californication or
Mhm.
they're excellent musicians. I'm not even like the whole vocal thing. If there's no vocal, they might be my favorite jazz fusion rock band of all time because Flea is the best bass player in the world when he
Oh
wants
yeah.
to play the bass the way it should, and he's not trying to be
Mhm.
flickery about it. Um, so they did Return of the Dream and Unlimited Love. Okay. Unlimited Love is 72 minutes. Return of the Dream Canteen is 75 minutes.
Mhm.
This is longer than Exile on Main Street out of the Rolling Stones.
Okay.
So in actuality, they're kind of double albums. They don't get played that way because they've managed to compress to get it on a single
Mhm.
disc. And
Got it.
those two albums, Unlimited, they came out in a year,
What?
but
Oh, I don't think I realized that.
they're not the same.
Mm.
Kind of like very jazz group.
Mm.
Just wonderful instrumentation, the best I'd ever heard from a Red Hot Chili Peppers album ever.
Mhm.
But it kind of got underscored because, well, it's not like what they normally are, and I just thought it was very, very adult, very, they were really, really, really paying attention to music. Then I
Mhm.
Rick Beato interviewed Rick Rubin. There's a whole topic you could go on for like 38 days. Um, he's obviously one of their favorite producers. They use him all the time, and he started talking about how his experience with them. And one of his things, I love to hear these same things because it makes me feel a little bit better about my position in this whole thing. He says they are unbelievable musicians, and maybe you wouldn't think that when you're just thinking about these clever little songs and but
Yeah.
they can really put stuff out there and make it. So
I'm a fan. So
Yeah, me too.
so
I just want to know though, how do you know if it's Chad Smith or Will Ferrell playing the drums? That's what I want to know. Because Will Ferrell looks just like Chad Smith and vice versa. So have
he's
you ever
he's
seen
that
them together? Oh, I
he's
did.
he has they've had many a time that's been discussed and talked about where it says and I think even being interviewed and the one person even said, oh, that is Chad Smith. It's not.
Yeah.
They actually did a drum off
on,
maybe Jimmy Fallon
yeah, it was
or
on Fallon. Yeah,
maybe
it was on.
one of the late night shows. It was
Yeah,
pretty funny.
yeah.
And at one point, you're kind of like going, "Oh my God, they look like twins."
And he can drum, which is kind of, I mean, they
Yeah,
picked a basic thing, but I couldn't do
yeah,
it.
they did, but
Who the hell
still.
am I, right?
The man of many talents.
A
Yeah.
man of many, many talents. All right. Well, we'd love to know what double albums we missed, what your favorites were. Chime in on the whole storyline of everything that I just dropped, and the ladies dropped on you. It's always fun to do the panel shows.
Yeah, it
Uh,
is.
we are on the web at beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, of course. Articles, videos, the podcasts, right? A couple days away. All about music, albums, bands, artists, anything we can get our hands on. Join myself and Deb, I believe, this Saturday. Is that true?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
It'll be album review Saturday. No, I don't. Is there? There's not a solitary new 2025 record, right? I don't think so.
No, no, I think there's
Um,
2024.
but
Yep.
some interesting things going on in that one.
Yep.
A violin can do many, many things. That's all I'll hint at.
Yeah.
Go beyond your radio with us, a real music appreciation channel. Thanks for watching and happy listening.
Bye.